Fantasy Football Semi-Pros.
Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football Semi-Pros. I'm Brandon. With me again is Ryan. Ryan, how was your hiking today?
It was better than being at work. The dogs had a blast, especially our lab. She loved all the little water puddles. I'm pretty sure she's not supposed to play in there, but I live recklessly, so I let her splish splash around. It's pretty good. How was your day?
Yeah, I got some catching up on some sleep. It was nice.
It's always important.
Played one Call of Duty Warzone match.
Eating Jelly Bellies, so forgive me.
Alright, so we're going to start with one of our favorite segments, Devin versus the coin.
Oh, yeah.
So this week, Devin, she did exceptionally well so far. She still has the Monday night game, but she is currently 11-2.
Who'd you take? The Bills or best in the nation?
I am the best in the nation.
Okay, Jamal Adams.
She has beaten the coin 6-7, so no matter what happens tonight, she does beat the coin
By a lot.
Yep. And
That's right.
I don't even know who plays tonight. The Bills and who?
Bills and Titans.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
And so with that, we're going to let Devin make her picks.
Alrighty. Hey, do I get a jelly bean for my performance?
Sure.
Thanks.
Have a jelly belly. All right, so this is going over week 7. I'd like to note that Barber has a note in here that says, AKA the Bye-Apocalypse. Bye-Apocalypse. There's a lot of teams on byes next week. If I'm reading it correctly, there's 6 teams. The Bills are not playing next week. The Cowboys are not playing next week. The Jags, Chargers, Vikings, Steelers, all on byes next week. Pretty intense. So we'll get down with the pick'em for Devin coming up in week 7, which is starting on Thursday night, with the Broncos traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns.
Browns.
You're going to go with the Browns. I will say Kareem Hunt was just put on the IR. Nick Chubb didn't play this past game yesterday.
I did put a question mark because I don't feel confident, but Browns it is.
I mean, after watching the Broncos completely collapse the last 3 weeks, yeah, I still feel comfortable in the Browns.
Coin pick.
The coin also said the Browns. Interesting. All right, so we got a pretty good AFC North matchup here going for first place in the division. We got the Bengals traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens.
I went with Ravens.
Probably fair. The Ravens are favored by 6.5, which I thought was pretty surprising, given the fact that the Ravens are 5-1 and the Bengals are 4-2. They must think there's a huge disparity there. So the coin said the Bengals.
Take that coin. Off to a good start.
We don't know that yet. That's why they play the game. If it was all based on spreads and paper, you wouldn't have any sports.
I seem to be working
upsets.
out now that I'm doing my research. Knock on wood.
Okay, well, upsets happen. Upsets do happen. All right, next game. Washington football team heading to Green Bay to face Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Apparently, there's news just in is that Aaron Rodgers has basically bought the Chicago Bears because he owns them, and he still owns them.
Oh, figuratively speaking.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he bought them. Who knows? But yeah, who you got? Football team?
Packers.
Coin also took the Packers on this one. This, I think, will be a closer game, and we'll see how one of these teams does tonight on Monday night. But week 7, Chiefs traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans.
Definitely the Chiefs.
You think it's definitely the
I think
Chiefs?
It's definitely the Chiefs.
All I'm saying is the Chiefs have looked vulnerable all season long. It's still Patrick Mahomes. It's still Andy Reid and the Chiefs and all of those weapons there in KC. But that defense is bad. That defense is real bad. And I would like to see Derrick Henry go off for a 60-point game. That'd be great. Anyway, the coin also said the Chiefs. Next game, bottom dwellers, Atlanta Falcons traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins.
Falcons.
The spread is even. And these Dolphins, even with Tua back, just can't figure out how to win a game. So the coin also said the Falcons. You guys have been pretty even. Odin, dog, stop licking the floor. He's a dumb dog. All right, next game. Ooh. Jets at Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 6.5 points.
I go with the Patriots.
Probably pretty fair. That's also what the coin said. I think the coin's getting smarter as we go out throughout the year. Okay, Panthers at Giants. This is a toss-up, man. The Panthers are a 2.5 point favorite on the road.
Pretty unsure on this one, but I went Panthers.
After that 3-0 start by the Carolina Panthers, they've kind of really just they disappoint. They disappointed me every single week since then. But the coin said Giants, so you might gain one there. Who knows? Maybe, possibly.
Maybe the coin's doing its research too.
I don't know. I don't think so because we just flip a coin and heads is home,
Game of
tails is away.
chance.
All right, next game: Eagles at Raiders. Raiders are favored by
Who are
3.
the Raiders?
The coin said Raiders too. This is a tough one. Man. Las Vegas can't really figure them out. The Eagles have the potential, just haven't seen it consistently yet. But yeah, coin Raiders, Devin Raiders. Next game. The Detroit Lions travel to LA to take on the Rams. The Rams are favored by 15.5. That's
I
more
went
than
with
2
the
touchdowns.
Rams.
The coin also said Rams.
Yeah.
Here's a good one.
Really on it.
Here's a really good one. Texans against the Arizona Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Yeah, they're favored by 17. I've never seen a spread that high, I don't think. Not that I can remember. The coin said Cardinals. Yeah, I think that's a pretty one. Punch that in. Okay, next one. Chicago Bears travel to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
I always go with the Bucks.
It's
Always bet on Tom Brady.
a fair bet. Yeah, coin says Bucks as well. Only 2 games left, all right? So we got on Sunday Night Football, Indianapolis Colts are traveling to San Fran to take on the 49ers.
49ers.
Coin says Colts.
Coin's wrong.
I don't know. Carson Wentz has looked
I don't know.
pretty good these last couple of nights. Last couple of games he's
Pretty on
played.
the fence.
He looks pretty healthy. If I believe 49ers defense a little banged up.
I don't know about their defense.
Well, who knows? We'll see. Haven't seen anything impressive by the
They're still going to
49ers
be
yet.
without Kittle.
Yeah. Last game, Monday night. Next Monday night. New Orleans Saints traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks.
The Saints.
The coin said Saints. The Saints are favored by 5.
Man, the coin picked
and-
like all the same things except the ones I'm not sure about, and I feel like the coin's gonna win.
And
But you just said you were the best in the
nation. And
Maybe the coin's the best.
if my Saints theory falls in line, the Saints will win this week because it's an odd number week.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take a Jelly Belly for the road.
All right, goodbye. Get out of here, you thief.
Thank you.
All right, Barbara, what you got with the waiver wire ads?
Yep, so Ryan gets off easy this week. There is no trivia.
I was at the poo.
You have said that. Yep, so we're going to go ahead and go in our week 7 waiver wire ads. So I don't actually have these in any particular order. It kind of goes by team need, especially with bye weeks coming up.
Yeah.
So I actually have 2 quarterbacks on here. Excuse me. First one, Tua Tagovailoa versus Atlanta. He's 27% rostered, but he actually looked good.
Yeah, I mean, they threw the ball a lot Sunday morning against the Jaguars, but
And I
Tua
mean,
looked pretty solid. He looked on point.
yeah, Tua looked good, and the Falcons' defense I don't think is much better than the Jaguars' defense. So, And on the other side of the ball, Matt Ryan versus Miami. He's 43% rostered, and Miami's defense hasn't looked any good this year.
No, I mean the Jaguars beat them, so took a few field goals, but
You know,
get to that.
I saw a tweet that said, why doesn't Miami have a bye? They just played in London.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, if you lose to the Jaguars, you don't deserve a bye. But no, apparently, if you play in London, you're given the option to take a bye week after.
And they just didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they're on the East Coast, so it's not that much of a difference in traveling to the West Coast.
Yeah.
The next one I have on here, I have 2 wide receivers. Jamal Agnew, I think he's a pickup right now, but I'm not yet starting him. He's had double-digit points in back-to-back weeks. In PPR, he's been at over 16 points.
Well, the week before that, where he didn't go double digits, he still had 11 points with a couple, like a kickoff return for a touchdown or something.
Mm-hmm. I will say, this week, he tied the team lead in targets. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but... Oh, never mind, I'm looking at a different one. He was up there near the top in targets, though.
I mean, he's getting a lot, yeah.
Yep, he's taking over that slot role, and they moved Laviska Shenault out to the perimeter. And that slot role can be very beneficial for
Whoever's there.
guys. My next one is Rashad Bateman versus Cincinnati. He's still only 46% rostered. And for his first game, his first career NFL game, he actually tied the team lead in targets.
I think it was 6 targets.
Something like that.
Yeah, but they didn't have to throw a whole lot. I mean, they really crushed the Chargers, so...
But still, 6 targets is a good day.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Rashad Bateman was tied for first on the team with a 24% target share. He was in a route on 67% of passing plays and saw a target on 27% of those. He played on 89% of long distance snaps, which is a good sign because that's usually when they're throwing.
Right.
So... They said they were going to work him in. They said it was going to be a slow process, but this might show it's moving quicker than we thought it would.
Okay.
And then the next one is tight end Ricky Seals-Jones.
Dude, he's exploding right now, man.
He is. And it's because Washington likes to use their tight end, and I think he's a good play until Logan Thomas is back.
Quite possibly. I think he's earning a spot on our rosters.
Yep. And then we got our 3 streaming defenses for the week. I have Arizona at Houston.
Good one.
New England at New York Jets, which we saw what they did last time, though. To Logan was?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, yeah.
Zach Wilson. Yeah, they killed him.
And then Carolina at the New York Giants, which the Giants have a tendency to turn the ball over, and they're playing without some of their better players.
Yeah, I mean, Tony's gone for a while, so...
They haven't really said he's gone for a while. He might be. That one's still kind of up in the air, but Galladay probably still not playing. Barkley probably not playing. And Daniel Jones, he does have a tendency to turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's just a young guy from Duke he thought would take better care of the ball, but that's a guy I wanted the Bengals to draft instead of, who was it? Andy Dalton?
They didn't come out the same time.
No. I can't remember.
Finley? Who they drafted in the 5th round?
Oh, yeah, the NC State kid. Finley?
Yeah, Finley. They drafted him in like the 5th round.
Yeah, I thought we should have got somebody. And
Not that time.
oh, well.
Right. Anybody that you notice that you might want to add to the
Oh,
waiver
man,
wire streamers?
I've been pretty busy. I haven't even had a chance to look. So, no.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
No, that's fine. Life happens. You have to spend time with the wife.
I spent about 5 hours driving this morning. Well, 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. Pedal to the metal. Cut it down to probably 4. You know me.
All right, so we'll start with our Week 6 recap. So we'll start with the Thursday night game, the Buccaneers at Eagles, and I did not put the score on here. But
they crushed them.
Yeah, the Buccaneers beat the Eagles. It wasn't as close as a game as the score kind of showed it to be.
No.
But I will say, if it wasn't for that stupid taunting rule, that could have gone into overtime.
Possibly.
But Brady, doing Brady things, 34 completions on 42 attempts, 297 yards, 2 TDs. He did have 1 interception. Leonard Fournette, he's taking this job in the backfield.
Yeah, he's definitely the clear RB1 there. I don't know what Ronald Jones did to, what's his name?
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians.
Bruce Arians has never seemed to like him.
I think the trade for Fournette was...
It wasn't a trade. They signed him.
Oh, yeah, did Jacksonville just cut him?
Yeah, Jacksonville cut him last year.
That's weird. That's stupid. But anyway, yeah, I think the intent of getting him was to have him be the lead back, and he's definitely proving he's worth it.
One thing I want to say about Jones, if you're in a dynasty league, try to trade for him cheap, because this is the last year of his contract in Tampa Bay, and I do think he's talented enough to take a job somewhere else and be fantasy productive.
Mm-hmm. But nobody's giving him up. Nobody's...
I don't know about that. I haven't really tried.
I just don't understand how some trades go through, and you sit here and you're just like, I have a better offer here. He gave you one more player? Are you kidding me?
Just let it go, man.
I'm just going to let it go, man.
Antonio Brown, 9 receptions, 93 yards, 1 TD. He's doing a little bit of everything. He's getting the deep targets. He's getting the short passes.
I think
he's Brady's guy.
I think as long as Gronk is out, he's going to profit from it. But even when Gronk comes back, he's still going to get his looks. He's still going to get his targets.
They did use the tight end. O.J. Howard, 6 receptions, 49 yards, and 1 TD.
Yeah.
So I think Brown's going to have a role almost no matter what.
No, you're right.
He has Brady's trust.
We'll see. Yeah, I think AJ Brown or Antonio Brown is still going to be a wide receiver 1.
I think 2 at the worst.
I mean, these are wide receiver 1 numbers, but okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But he's not putting up 9 receptions for 93 yards every game.
I mean, I'm sorry, everybody, about Godwin and Evans, man. I really like those 2 guys, too.
Evans, his uses, especially with Brady, has always been kind of sporadic.
Yeah.
He had 2 receptions, 27 yards. Godwin, 5 receptions, 43 yards. No reason to talk about the Bucs other than they're good. You're probably starting any one of these players, except for maybe the tight end right now.
Brate, I didn't have another option, so I started Brate in one league. I was like, eh.
As for the other side of the ball, Jalen Hurts does not look good as a real-life quarterback.
I think this is going to go down as the first time he does not finish as a top 12 quarterback in PPR fantasy. These numbers are low.
I haven't really looked where he's ranked, but he still had 25-plus points, and it all comes with his rushing ability.
Well, he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, so I guess maybe he would finish in the top 12.
And it always seems like at the end of the game, like if you don't, it's probably best if you have Hurts to not watch the game or look at the scores, because the first half, you're like, God, this is awful. Gosh, this is awful.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, like midway through the third to the fourth quarter, bam, 25 points.
Like, oh, yay.
The running game on here, Sanders, 9 carries, 56 yards, 2 receptions, 10 yards. They actually used him a little bit.
I'm still avoiding.
Yeah. It surprised me that they used him here, though, because you can't run on the Bucs.
No. Nobody has yet.
Quez Watkins, 3 receptions, 44 yards. Devonta Smith, 2 receptions, 31 yards. That one kind of surprised me because the way you play the Bucs is you throw the ball.
Yeah. We saw L.A. torch him.
And then Ertz, who was traded to Arizona the day after the game.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of conundrums going on here.
Everything was fixed.
Okay.
4 receptions, 29 yards, 1 TD. Yeah, he went to bed 2-5 and woke up
6-5 and 0.
Yep, and now 6-0.
Yeah.
You gotta appreciate what Ertz finally getting rewarded.
I think he'll do really well there. I know the waiver wires went absolutely nuts.
All right, the good news is this opens up for both the tight ends, Goddard and Ertz.
Yeah, it helps out both.
Right. Sure. So we'll move over to the Sunday morning game in London. The Dolphins at the Jaguars.
Oh, what a barn burner!
Jacksonville finally hit not 1 field goal, but was it 4?
3.
3.
3.
I thought 4th was the game winner. I was wrong.
3. Do the math. 2 touchdowns, 17, 20, 23.
So Jacksonville won 23-20. Tua went 33 for 47, 329 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception, 3 carries, and 22 yards. The great thing is, and I kind of mentioned it while we were watching the game, Tua's starting to look like Tua again. He's moving, he's running the ball well. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a positive sign.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, he's moving pretty well. He looked pretty mobile, looked confident.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know what's going on with these coaches in Miami. They just can't get their team to win a game.
Not only that, this running back room, you're avoiding it until further notice.
Oh, yeah. Stay away from Gaskin, Ahmed,
Brown had 6 touches, Ahmed 8, Gaskin 7.
Right now, the only people you're playing from the Dolphins is Tua, Gesicki for sure, and Waddle. Do it. Waddle.
Yep, Waddle. We mentioned the stat earlier in the year. Like, his average length of touchdown reception was like 42 yards in college.
Yeah.
He's not getting the yard.
No.
He's being used in the short passing game.
It's because he can outrun everybody on those dang crossing routes.
Well, not only that.
That's what works.
This offensive line hasn't been good enough.
Yeah, I mean, Tua doesn't really look like he has a whole lot of time back there, but that'll come. That'll come. Dolphins could always make some moves in free agency in the offseason and get some protection for. Mm-hmm. We'll see, man. It's only you can only go up. I mean, you only one win.
As for the other side of the ball,
Sunshine.
Trevor Lawrence finally gets his first NFL win.
Took him 6 weeks.
He was 25 of 41, 319 yards, 1 TD. He only had 2 carries for 11 yards and a lost fumble. Mm-hmm. But we're starting to see him look a little bit more like he did at Clemson and using his legs a lot better.
I think a lot of that has to do, he's getting comfortable with his wide receivers and the timing's there. Urban Meyer just needs to learn that James Robinson right now is your best asset on this team. No offense to Trevor Lawrence, he's really great, but James Robinson just takes over a game, and if you get him his touches, he's going to get you into the end zone. So
definitely, I think the emergence of Robinson has helped Lawrence a lot. 17 carries, 73 yards,
1 touchdown,
with 1 touchdown, 3 receptions for 28 yards.
Now, if you're watching for that 1 point of 100 receiving, rushing yards combined, he finished with 101 total yards, but pretty close there. I don't know. I think if we saw it when they were playing the Bengals, they came out in the first half and they ran the ball, went into halftime with a 14-0 lead. They came out in the second half and were just trying to throw the ball all of a sudden. It was like kind of really, didn't really make any sense. And they kind of got away with it. I think, again, Miami lost this game. I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars won it. I mean, props to that kicker for hitting 2 50-yard field goals.
Kicker who looks like he could hide behind a twig.
The kicker that looks like he needs to eat. Like just something, anything.
So I do want to mention the receivers. Marvin Jones Jr., I just dropped him in the league. 7 receptions, 100 yards, and a TD.
Well, that's all it took. He just needs you to drop him.
Probably. Agnew, 6 receptions, 78 yards. Laviska Shenault, 6 receptions, 54 yards. I'm probably avoiding Shenault still right now. And then their main tight end, Dan Arnold, 2 receptions, 27 yards. But it seemed like they kind of cycled through 3 different tight ends during that game.
Yeah, and it's hard to get a grasp on who the guy is there. I
still think it's Arnold.
I still think you have a young QB, just got this trade, doesn't have very many reps with this squad. Just give it some time.
Mm-hmm. All right, so our next game, we had the Packers at Bears. As Ryan alluded to earlier, Aaron Rodgers, he figured out a way around the taunting rule. Yeah, you don't taunt the players, you taunt the fans. And I already got a hand in there. According to him, he still owns the Bears. He effing owns them.
He still owns them.
The Bears lost to Packers 24-14. Rodgers had a very efficient day. 17 of 23, 195 yards, 2 TDs, 7 carries for 19 yards and a touchdown.
It's not the Aaron Rodgers number you're looking for, but
he still put up 30 points.
Yeah, I mean,
at least in our league.
Yeah, he did pretty well. He did pretty well. but man.
The thing that's kind of worrying me, Aaron Jones, 13 carries, 76 yards, 4 receptions, 34 yards. But A.J. Dillon's coming in there with 11 carries and 59 yards.
I wonder if Jones is banged up or something.
Who knows?
I mean, ever since that, I think it was a Monday night game against the 49ers, maybe?
Well, it seems like even before that, like, not last year, but 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they were hesitant to give him the full workload. They were always splitting with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but it's something to monitor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Jones is
He's still running back one. He's still getting.
I don't think his production is in any jeopardy whatsoever.
No. And then Devontae Adams, 4 receptions at 89 yards.
Not a bad game. Not a great game.
Yeah, he's the only receiving option that you really want in Green Bay right now.
Yeah.
For the other side of the ball, Fields actually probably had one of his better games. 16-27, 174 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. And he's finally starting to carry the ball more, 6 carries for 43 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably still holding off on starting him, but this is a good sign that maybe he's starting to figure out the game, which really I think only comes from live reps.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
And then Khalil Herbert.
He had a good game.
He did. 19 carries, 97 yards, 1 TD, 2 receptions, 15 yards. Even when Williams comes back, I think he's still going to have a role because we saw the first week that Williams was the guy.
Right.
So Herbert could be one of those desperation flex players if you need him.
Time will tell.
Allen Robinson, 4 receptions, 53 yards. Darnell Mooney, 5 receptions, 45 yards. It's still hard to start any of these receivers.
Yeah, and even
And then Cole Kmet ended up with 4 receptions, 49 yards, 1 carry for 0 yards. I think at least 2 tight ends had 1 carry this week.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's hard to trust the passing or a receiving option here. And
It's really hard to trust
in
anybody
Chicago.
besides Damian Williams out of Chicago at this point. But even
Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, but it was just Williams. But yeah.
All right, so our next game we had the Bengals with the Lions. This game was not even close. Bengals won 32-11.
We're Bengals fans, and I couldn't stand to watch it. There's just something about it's boring. There is so much explosiveness on the Cincinnati Bengals offense. I'm just begging Zach Taylor, open up the playbook, dude. Open it up. Let Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins do what they do. Let them score touchdowns. Let them run the ball all over anybody. Man,
That being said,
so boring.
Burrow while it was an efficient game, he still had a good game for you fantasy-wise if you started him. 19-29, 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And the good news is he's running the ball. 5 carries for 20 yards.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon, back to his full workload. 18 carries, 94 yards, 5 receptions, 59 yards, 1 TD, and 1 fumble. He did have his longest career play of, I think it was like 40 yards.
Of 40 yards, yeah, a little out.
With a great block by Jamar Chase at the end.
And that's the thing, man. We got receivers here, and I know Cincinnati the last few years with A.J. Green and Auden Tate, Tyler Boyd. But now you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins just taking up some of that brain space in the defensive's heads. And now Mixon can get some gaps at the line of scrimmage. And
Which
hit the
Mixon's
holes.
always been good, even with bad offensive line.
Right, but now those gaps are opening up a little bit. He's able to squeeze through them. We're seeing the runner that we thought he would be when he came out of Oklahoma. But, man, these guys could be so much fun to watch if they just opened up the darn playbook.
Which brings us to Chris Evans as well. Not Captain America, sorry. 4 carries, 18 yards, 3 receptions, 49 yards, and a TD. He might be a guy that they start to use, let Mixon sit a little bit more, keep him healthy for the long run, and just keep him fresh for the game.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but P. Ryan's still on the COVID-19 list.
Yeah,
so
but I think Evans is just a better pure
running
receiver
back, all
of the
around.
running back.
I think he's an all-around running back. But
Well, I mean then
a 4.5 yard carry average, 4.4 yards per carry is pretty good average.
yeah. As for the receivers, Chase 4 receptions, 97 yards. Higgins, 3 for 44. Uzama had 3 receptions, 15 yards, 1 TD. Like I said earlier on in the year, I think Boyd's going to be the odd man out more often than not.
I think Higgins is the odd man out, and it's hurting my feelings. It's hurting my heart.
Well, they didn't have to throw much here.
Well, I don't care. I still
And
like
that's
Higgins.
what I'm saying. I agree. I want to see Higgins have more work as well. But I'm saying other 3 receivers, Boyd's the odd man out.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
As for the other side of the ball, Dan Campbell had some words with the media for Goff. Basically saying he needs to step up more. And, yeah, I don't think he's a fan of Goff anymore.
No, I think Detroit's definitely going after quarterback after this year. But, man, Goff just doesn't ever get off his primary read. He can't read a defense. I have yet to see him make a read and come off of his first read and go to his second, third, fourth drop-down options.
Goff, to me, he's the guy that needs the weapons around him, and he just does not have them.
No, he's awful. I'm not going to say he's awful. He's obviously better than me. He's the starting quarterback in the NFL, but there's something lacking there in just play recognition, defensive coverages, and all this other stuff. Yeah, he looks bad.
Swift, 13 carries, 24 yards, a garbage time TD, 5 receptions, 43 yards. Williams, 4 carries, 11 yards, 1 reception, minus 2 yards. Williams' work has definitely been decreasing as the season's gone on.
Yeah, and Campbell even said you're going to see more of Swift, and the next thing you know, Williams is starting the first drive, and you're like, what? And then at the end of the game, you look at the touches, you're like, oh, okay.
As for the pass catching options, and I guess I had a typo and put Hackinson instead of Hawkinson. T.J. Hawkinson, 8 receptions, 74 yards. He was kind of the focal point here. Hopefully that continues more so.
Well, and like I said last week, they got their left tackle back, the rookie Penei Sewell. So Hawkinson wasn't really needed to block as much, so to speak, and they're hoping that they get their right tackle back here within the next week or two. So Hawkinson could become even better.
And then these 2 receiving options, the wide receivers, they weren't really utilized until garbage time.
Fourth quarter, yeah.
Raymond, 6 receptions, 37 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 5 receptions, 26 yards.
At the end of the day, it's not great, but it's not.
It's basically down to 2 guys that you're starting on the Lions.
If you have a double, 2 flex, super flex league, yeah, you're pretty happy with these numbers. You can't ask for much more.
All right, so we'll move on to the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts won 31-3. Davis Mills, 29 of 43, 243 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 carries, 5 yards. You're not starting him unless you're absolutely desperate during bye weeks, and I'd probably still consider a wide receiver over him in the super flex.
I don't know. He's scoring more points than Terry Heineke the last 2 weeks in the super flex formats, but I'm starting to wonder. Yeah, there's no touchdowns here, but the accuracy is there, and it's gotten better as the season went along. I'm wondering if Tyrod Taylor gets his job back.
He does. Their coach has already said he's the starter when he's back.
Okay,
They reiterated that last week.
And I think, just speaking of it, watching the football team, I think as soon as Ryan Fitzpatrick's healthy, he's back in there too.
Man, we'll see on that one. We haven't heard anything, and we haven't heard any updates on his injury, but that we can talk about later.
Yeah, sorry.
Running back wise, this room was pretty much split. Ingram with 9 carries, 89 yards, 2 receptions for 8 yards. Lindsey, 7 carries for 39 yards, 2 receptions, 15 yards. You're not starting one of these running backs.
No, not yet.
Brandon Cooks, 9 receptions, 89 yards. He's
still the only one you're going to play from this offense.
Nico Collins, in his first game back from his injury, he did show some promise. 4 receptions, 44 yards, and he was out there quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring up Jordan Akins. 4 receptions, 41 yards.
If anybody knows Pokemon, that's where it's from. Akins.
As for the other side of this ball, Carson Wentz, another one of those, it was inefficient for one side, and the other side didn't have to, or the other side was just a disaster.
Yeah.
Wentz, 11 for 20, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he did what he had to do. It's Houston.
That's a 52% completion percentage. That's pretty bad. I wouldn't even call it efficient. It was just
efficient. 11 11 completions for 223 yards and 2 TDs. That's efficient.
You're getting about 22 yards of completion there.
Jonathan Taylor, only 2 touches in the first half, but in the second half just exploded. And I think he's just saying, hey, Frank Reich, give me the ball.
Yeah, I mean, he's making a really good argument for it. Get down.
Sorry, he had to take care of his dog.
Jonathan Taylor now has the longest rushing play from scrimmage this year with, I believe it was 83 yards. They said 83-yard run. I don't know if he scored or not. I saw a little ticker thing at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, Taylor ended up with 14 carries, 145 yards.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns and 1 reception, 13 yards. You'd like to see more receptions, but there was only 11 completed in this game, only thrown 20 times.
Yeah, I mean, I think Taylor's making an argument that he is the Derrick Henry 2.0. This kid runs hard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Henry had 15 touches at the end, where Hines and Mack combined for 10.
Henry? You mean Taylor?
Sorry, Taylor. T.Y. Hilton, 4 receptions, 80 yards. He did leave this game with a groin injury, a soft tissue.
Yep.
They're saying that he's already starting to progress well. There is a chance he could play again this week.
Pittman's hurt.
Not Pittman, Campbell.
Oh, yes.
Campbell, 1 reception, 51 yards, and 1 TD. But on that 1 TD, did something to his foot. I think he's season-ending, I might have heard.
I just heard significant damage.
Yeah, that's it.
A significant injury. So we'll see, man. That guy just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, unfortunately for Campbell.
No.
Let's see. I know I saw some notes I saw last night from Matthew Betts. He's a physical therapist that also works with the fantasy footballers. Paris Campbell, foot injury. Left game after the 51-yard TD grab. They're going to have x-rays and MRI to follow and determine. But he does have a history of a fractured foot. Michael Pittman, 2 receptions, 35 yards. Pittman's been usable. I think this game's more of an outlier because they only completed 11 of 20.
Yeah, and Mo Alley Cox had 1 reception, 28 yards, and a TD. That's not what you want. That's 9.8 points in the PPR format, or a 10.3 if you do the.
Honestly, he's probably still in the top 10 in tight ends, though. So we'll move on to the next game. And I did not put the Giants stats on here, but
there's nothing really to look forward to on that. So
the Giants, they had quite a few turnovers.
Yes.
Daniel Jones played one of his worst games. But Stafford, 22 of 28, very, very efficient there.
Yeah.
251 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did have a fumble with 2 carries and 12 yards.
Oh, well.
Darrell Henderson Jr., 9 carries, 42 yards, 2 receptions, 29 yards, and a TD. He's the running back you want there. If he does go down, Michelle, though, he's...
Yeah, I mean, Michelle had 9 carries, 42 yards, but I think that's a lot. I mean, they won 38-11, so how much did the starters really need to be used later in that game?
Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions, 130 yards, 2 TDs.
Just doing Cooper Kupp things.
Higbee, a usable tight end, 5 receptions, 36 yards. And Woods, what's going on with this? Yes, he got a TD this week. But it's only 2 receptions and 31 yards.
Well, either it was a week ago or last week against the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, it was all Robert Woods.
Yeah.
We're right back to this.
But that's just one game, so Woods scares me again.
Yeah. We need to see some more verbiage.
I'm not saying you're not starting Woods. He's not in your flex.
He's got a great ceiling.
Yep.
High ceiling.
And as we said, I don't have notes on the Giants, but I think Booker's still usable. He had a decent game, I think. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you're probably avoiding this game.
Hey, did you know that Derrick Henry has 107.8 rushing yards per game versus the top 3 defenses this year?
No, I didn't.
I just saw it on NFL Network. Sorry, guys.
Ryan has the attention span of a bee.
Squirrel.
We'll move on to our next game, the Chiefs at the Washington football team. Kansas City ended up winning 31-13.
They looked like they were in trouble for a minute, man.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes, he ended up with a good day fantasy point-wise. 32 of 47, 397 yards. 2 TDs, but he had 2 interceptions. 3 carries, 31 yards, and a fumble. But the big news, Darrell Williams, 21 carries, 62 yards, 2 TDs, 3 receptions, and 27 yards.
I don't think I've ever seen CEH get half as many carries.
That's actually what I was going to bring up next. Like, why are they not using Clyde Edwards-Helaire this way?
Just size difference.
I don't think so.
I have no idea. I can't tell you. This is weird. Nobody knows what's going on in Andy Reid's head.
I think when CEH is back, I think Williams is still going to be a usable piece.
You would hope if you went out and got him and had him.
Travis Kelce ended up with 8 receptions, 99 yards. Tyreek Hill, 9 receptions, 76 yards, and a TD. Mecole Hardman, 4 receptions, 62 yards, and a lost fumble. This game, Mahomes actually spread it around for once.
Yeah.
I'm only running with Mahomes, Williams, Kelce, and Hill, though.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if you really, really need it, I mean, Hardman's a deep flex play.
I want to bring up Josh Gordon, though. If you picked him up, he's definitely droppable. He barely played this game.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have any usage, even in the long term.
And then for the other side of this ball, Taylor Heineke, 24-39, 182 yards. So the completions are there. It's just not.
He's not executing. He's not finishing plays. He's not finishing drives. He had that one great game against Atlanta a couple weeks ago. But since then, I think once Ryan Fitzpatrick gets back, Fitzpatrick's stepping into that starting quarterback role again. And if you have Heineke, you're just stashing him in case Fitzpatrick gets hurt again.
Yep. And then we got Antonio Gibson, 10 carries, 44 yards, 2 receptions for 0 yards, and a lost fumble.
That shin injury, though, is really...
It's not just a shin injury. He did lead the game with that shin injury, but it was also the second time he left it was with a calf injury.
It's a lot of calf injuries.
If you can avoid it and you have somebody else, you might want to start somebody over Gibson. Because the only way that shin injury is going to get better is rest, and he's not going to get it during this season. J.D. McKissick, 8 carries, 45 yards, 8 receptions, 65 yards.
This is the guy if you're going to play running back right now, because Gibson's more talented.
I agree.
I don't think there's any question about that. But McKissick is getting the targets, he's getting the carries, he's getting the touches because Antonio Gibson's just hurt. And they're playing from behind every single game, so...
Yep, and then the Ricky Seals-Jones, we mentioned him earlier in the waiver wire pickups. 4 receptions, 58 yards, and a TD. De'Ami Brown, 3 receptions, 30 yards. Terry McLaurin, 4 receptions, 28 yards.
This is just a
bad week,
McLaurin's
man. Talented. He doesn't have the quarterbacks he needs.
Yeah, and he's done pretty well without any good quarterbacks there in Washington. But, yeah, you're still throwing McLaurin out there because of the high floor. De'Ami Brown is a great speedster. I believe he's returning kicks there in Washington. So
he's definitely a good stash in deeper league/dynasty.
Deeper flex league play for bye weeks, for sure. Just kind of hoping, his numbers called a lot one week and...
I can't wait for the day that McLaurin finally gets a QB that can give him the ball. Like, hopefully Ryan Fitzpatrick comes back and can do it. But we'll see on that one.
We'll see.
Next game, we have Vikings at Panthers. Minnesota ended up winning this in a walk-off touchdown in overtime to KJ Osborne, 34-28. Cousins, 33 of 48, 373 yards, 3 TDs.
That was Kendrick Osborne. That doesn't matter. Who cares? I mean, Cousins had a fantastic fantasy day. It just took him a while to get there.
Yeah. Dalvin Cook. I think I saw a tweet yesterday. Dalvin Cook's either breaking off long runs or he's getting looked at by the trainers. There is no in between.
Feels that way.
29 carries, 140 yards. I don't have however many receptions. I must have accidentally deleted that. 3 yards and 1 fumble. Dalvin Cook, Saturday or Sunday, he was the player that you drafted him to be.
Yeah. I mean, feeling look good. He was the high target, high volume guy.
I was
a lot of yards.
about Cook.
Oh shoot, sorry.
Thielen, but yeah, we'll move on to Thielen. 11 receptions, 126 yards, 1 TD.
That's their key to success is getting Thielen the ball. For some reason, if Thielen's target share is really high and he's getting a lot of receptions and a lot of yards, Vikings seem to do well.
Yep. And then you got Justin Jefferson, 8 receptions, 80 yards, a lost fumble. KJ Osborne, 6 receptions, 78 yards, 1 TD in overtime.
And then Conklin, dude.
Tyler Conklin, 3 receptions, 71 yards, 1 TD. There's worse dart those tight ends out there. Even before Irv Smith was hurt.
Yeah.
Zimmer brought him up like, hey, you guys think we're going to use Smith more? Conklin's actually, he's going to be a guy that we're going to use quite a bit. As for the other side of the ball, all of us might have been a little premature on the Sam Darnold.
Bounce back player of the year award. Yeah, man. 17 of 41. Oh, man. That's a terrible completion percentage. That's
207
like
yards. Yeah, 207 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 4 carries, 48 yards, and a lost fumble.
Man.
I wonder, ever since they lost CMC,
They haven't done.
they've lost. He hasn't looked good. Maybe it's just CMC. This is the glue that holds this team together.
Because he just takes so many eyes away from everybody else.
Yep, which brings me to Hubbard. He's still going to be a decent flex, low-end running back too, but he's not getting the receptions that McCaffrey has been getting.
No.
16 carries, 61 yards, which was good itself, 1 TD, but he only had 1 reception for 4 yards.
But there's only 17 completions in the entire game.
Fair. And then you got DJ Moore, 5 receptions, 73 yards, 1 carry for 6 yards. He did lose a fumble. Ian Thomas, 1 reception, 41 yards. I think it was a TD as well. I can't remember for sure.
No, I don't think it was a touchdown. But
Yeah, it was a touchdown because he... Oh, no, I can't remember. But Zalistra, I have no idea who that was. 3 receptions, 32 yards. Smith, Shai Smith, he's a rookie, 2 receptions, 20 yards. And Robbie Anderson, 3 receptions, 11 yards, and 1 TD.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
He's still, I think, droppable if you still have him on your roster.
He's just not getting a target share.
All right, so our next game, Chargers at Ravens. Man, this was not the Chargers we were expecting to see.
No, it was not.
Chargers end up losing 34-6. Herbert,
You
I
have
messed this
something
up
really.
somewhere back.
Yeah, we don't have the stats for any of these guys, so just
Well, I have him for Eckler. 6 carries, 7 yards, 4 receptions, 48 yards.
bad game. It's not going to happen every week.
Herbert, he ended up with 1 TD, 1 interception, but other than that, it was not good for him. Keenan Allen, 5 receptions, 50 yards. Mike Williams, you got to wonder if his knee was bothering him. 2 receptions, 27 yards.
You have to think so, but Jared Cook now is getting some looks. He's
Definitely.
getting a little more involvement. I think he's had a touchdown the last 2 weeks.
He could definitely be that low-end tight end that you keep plugging in.
Yeah, he was that when he was with the Saints.
Yep. On the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson, 19 of 27,
Pretty good.
167 yards, 1 TD, but 2 interceptions.
Didn't hurt him.
Salvaged his day, 8 carries, 51 yards.
Yeah.
So, can you tell me, when was the last time that Devontae Freeman, Le'Veon Bell, and Latavius Murray all scored a touchdown on the same day?
Had it been like 2015,
2017.
2017. That's a long while. Yeah, and I remember sitting there watching the highlight or whatever. Devontae Freeman had a rushing touchdown. Latavius Murray had a rushing touchdown. Le'Veon Bell had a rushing touchdown, all for the Ravens. And neither one of those guys were on the Ravens' initial roster at the start of training camp.
I think you could put me back there in that backfield, and I could probably score a touchdown.
Yeah, I would be able to do pretty well too. Or anybody really.
You're still not starting. Yeah, you're still not starting any of these running backs. They're all kind of used evenly.
They had high volume simply because of just the nature of that game and how that all played out. But yeah, they were all pretty even. Nobody set themselves apart.
Mark Andrews followed up his big game on Monday night with a 5 receptions, 68 yards, 1 TD. Hollywood Brown, 4 receptions, 35 yards, 1 fumble. You want to see more, but they really didn't have to throw that all that much. And then, as we said, Rashad Bateman, 4 receptions, 29 yards. But he tied the team lead in targets, and someone to keep an eye on. All right, so getting closer to the end. So our next game, we had the Cardinals at Browns.
4 games left.
Yep, Arizona ended up winning 37-14. Kyler Murray, 20 of 30, 229 yards, 4 touchdowns.
That's his lowest completion percentage all year long.
Really?
Per game, yep.
He also had 7 carries for 6 yards and 4 fumbles. 4 fumbles is kind of concerning, but you don't see that often, so it's kind of easy to say, okay, we're not going to worry about this.
Could be humidity, something or other.
One thing I did want to mention, Kyler Murray, his passing numbers have definitely improved, so it's kind of masking this, but his rushing numbers are way down.
Yes, I know.
2020, he had, what was it? He averaged 8.3 carries per game with 51.2 yards per game. So far this year, it's 6.2 carries per game for 19.3.
Yeah, and I think it's just a different offense. You have more weapons out there. Take the good with the bad, man. I was really hoping for more rushing yards, kind of like Lamar Jackson style, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You can't force it.
I mean, what they're doing right now is working for him, but I just kind of wanted to point that out. I wouldn't be against trading Murray if you had him.
No, I'm good. I'm going to hold on to it.
Because it used to be his legs that gave him the floor, and you just haven't really been seeing it this year. I think you could get a decent haul for him. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't be against trading him if you had him.
I'm good.
I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying.
I don't have any other quarterbacks anywhere, so.
As for the running backs, Connor, 16 carries, 71 yards, 1 reception for 0 yards. Edmonds, 4 carries, 46 yards, 3 receptions for 4 yards. Edmonds has been battling an injury, so I don't think you can read too much into this, but kind of goes back to what's been said about Edmonds the last couple of years. I don't know that he can be the workhorse back.
I don't think he can either, and I think that's why they brought in James Conner, and Chase Edmonds was to stay in that role of change of pace, receiving back. But James Conner looked really good. I will say that. He ran through, over, and around this Browns defense.
As for the receivers here, everything was kind of spread out. 5 receptions, 79 yards, 1 TD for Green. 5 receptions, 75 yards, 1 TD for Kirk. 3 receptions, 55 yards, 2 TDs for Hopkins. 3 receptions, 16 yards, 3 carries for 10 yards for Moore.
And the thing with Rondale Moore is, man, they're using him on a lot of the underneath game, a lot of screen game, and just hoping he busts one. I'm hesitant to play him.
It's going to scare me more as Ertz gets worked into this offense more, too.
Yeah, we might not see a whole lot from Rondale Moore. They like the kid. He's a great return man. There's some upside there with return yardage, but...
As for the other side of this ball, Baker Mayfield, 19 and 28, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 carries for 8 yards, 2 fumbles lost. Man, his arm.
Yeah, his
he already tore that labrum, and
basically he's going to need off-season surgery, but he's going to play through it, and
he's got
to be careful.
There is a chance he does not play this Thursday night. If he doesn't, Case Keenum is the backup. There's worse backups that you can have, but I'm talking more for the pass catchers and stuff.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt, 14 carries, 66 yards, 3 receptions, 12 yards, but he is on the IR. He's out for at least 3 games. Ernest Johnson, I think, is going to be the backup running back for them.
If Nick Chubb comes back.
Well, sorry. The running back will take over if Nick Chubb doesn't.
Right.
Dominic Felton, I think, is Demetric Felton.
More of a receiver.
Yeah, he's more of the receiver. He was a receiver running back hybrid in college. I'm not sure I'm trusting either of these guys unless you're in a deep dynasty league where you absolutely have to run somebody out.
Right.
And even the receivers, Donovan Peoples-Jones, 4 receptions, 101 yards, 2 TDs. Hasn't been consistent, so you can't really trust him.
Nope.
The news, though, Odell Beckham Jr., 5 receptions, 78 yards, but he suffered an AC joint injury.
Yeah, he keeps hurting that dang shoulder, so it's hard to trust him as well, too. I would avoid the Browns' offense, even though I still think they can beat the Broncos on Thursday night, but it's gonna be a battle.
Yeah, I would avoid them as well. At least Thursday night, I want to see more, unless Chubb is back.
Right.
You're not sitting Chubb. And honestly, I think Kareem Hunt needs Nick Chubb in this offense to be effective, but Chubb does not need Hunt.
No, and I think that's unfair because Hunt is his own breed, his own brand.
But I think he was in the perfect offense in Kansas City.
Yes, but this offense is a
isn't
two.
his.
The Cleveland Browns offense is a two back offense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I think they can run it just fine with just Chubb.
That's fine because they have other weapons on the outside. But yeah, I think Hunt would do really well as an RB1 somewhere else. I think he would be great for San Francisco. Right?
That just means he's going to get hurt, though.
Yeah, well, he's already hurt.
More.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Hunt is. He'd be great somewhere else. I mean, he's shown that he could be the guy elsewhere.
So we'll move on to the next game, Raiders at Broncos. We didn't really watch much of this game, but the Raiders, I think, had this in hand pretty much.
Yeah, it was like 34-10, pretty early, or like early third quarter. So.
Derek Carr, I didn't bring him up as a waiver wire ad, but he could be one of those potential streaming quarterbacks. He ended up 18-27, 341 yards, two touchdowns.
It's not a bad day.
2 carries for -1 yard and a fumble. The interesting thing here is Kenyon Drake was actually worked into the offense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he had a receiving TD and a rushing touchdown.
Now, 6 touches is not a lot, but
he's being utilized.
Yeah, he is being utilized, which is something to keep an eye on. Maybe it just took the coaching change. Josh Jacobs, 15 carries, 53 yards, 1 TD. He also had 1 reception for 29 yards.
Ruggs is getting more looks, too.
He's getting more deeper looks. He still only had 3 receptions, 97 yards, 1 TD. Like I said, he's kind of like a Deshaun Jackson type.
His ceiling's high, and I think you have to play him.
And then Brian Edwards, I don't know why they don't throw to this guy more. 2 receptions, 67 yards, not drops. He doesn't get targeted until late in the game. And he catches just about anything that comes his way. If you have Waller, though, 5 receptions, 59 yards, he hasn't been above, I think, tight end 8 this year. If you have Waller, you can try to trade him. See what you can get based off of name value. People still see the name like, oh, he's a top tight end. As for the other side of this ball, Bridgewater had a decent game. 35 for 49, 334 yards.
It's just that Broncos defense, man. Can't stop anybody.
3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He did lose a fumble. This running back room, it's
50-50 down the middle, yeah.
You're not rooting for injuries, but one of these guys has to stop getting cut touches for this to be a efficient backfield to start.
Yeah.
Noah Fant, 9 receptions, 97 yards, 1 TD.
Sutton had a good game.
Sutton, 8 for 94, 1 TD. And even Tim Patrick had a usable fantasy day. 3 receptions, 42 yards, and a TD.
Yeah, that's 13 points.
One of these guys is going to tail off when Judy's back, which they're shooting for, I think, not this next week, but the week after, maybe. Okay. But I think it's Patrick that drops off when he is back.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Next game, Cowboys at the Patriots. Prescott suffering from a calf injury. He was in a walking boot, but that's more of a precautionary thing.
Yeah, especially after his injury last year.
You're starting him when he's back, but he's on a bye this week. Zeke, 17 carries, but the positive thing, and we're starting to see it more, he's getting receptions.
Yeah. Oh, that's not fair.
I wasn't actually going to hold you to it.
He's getting targets.
He had 7 receptions for 50 yards. Pollard, he's still coming in, but maybe a flex play during bye weeks.
Yeah, his standalone value has dropped, especially after that Chargers game in week 3. But, yeah, man.
And then CD Lamb, he's a man. 9 receptions, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's finally becoming the guy that I wanted him to be. Mm-hmm. And hoping he would be when I drafted him in the 5th round.
Schultz, worst tight ends to start. 5 receptions, 79 yards. Cooper, 5 receptions, 55 yards. As for the other side of this ball,
Mac 10. Sorry, guys.
Jones, 15-21, 229 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. But we saw what happens when they start opening it up and throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Mac Jones has proven that he can lead an offense up and down the field and score points. I just want to know what's going to be the breaking point for Belichick to either step down or open it up, because I think Belichick's his own worst enemy. His pride is his own.
Damian Harris ended up with 18 carries, 101 yards, 1 TD. Stevenson, 5 carries, 23 yards, 1 TD, and 3 receptions, 39 yards. I'm still not sold that Harris is the guy here.
Ramondre Stevenson, we've seen it. He's steadily getting more and more touches.
And moving on to the wide receivers, Kendrick Bourne, don't be fooled by his numbers. He had 1 reception, 75 yards, 1 TD.
I think he only had 3 targets.
Jacoby Myers, though, 5 receptions, 44 yards, and you got a feel for the guy. Had a touchdown that got called back on a holding call.
Would have been his first receiving touchdown in the league, too.
And then Hunter Henry, 2 receptions, 25 yards, 1 TD. Jonnu Smith, though, he's run a total of 15 pass routes
all year long,
resulting in 4 targets during the past 2 games. Not only that, they made him the 4th highest paid tight end with over $30 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I was pretty high on him too. And
he's so athletic, and
it's Bill
he
Belichick,
should be getting more. I don't know why they went after 2 tight ends here.
It's Belichick. Who knows?
All right, and then we had the Seahawks and Steelers. This game was pretty boring until about 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
Geno Smith didn't look bad. 23 of 32, 209 yards, 1 TD, 1 carry for -1 yards, 1 fumble lost. Alex Collins, though, he put this team on his back.
He looked good, but I think something happened. He
did leave with an injury, but I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, I was going to say he had like a 6 or 7 yard run, and he was not hit out of bounds or tackled out of bounds. And I didn't see him later in the game. I was like, well, what's going on?
He ended up with 20 carries, 101 yards, and 1 TD. He's going to be the running back you want from this team.
What about Penny?
Penny's a guy to keep an eye on. He's often injured, so
I just looked at this and watched that game last night and thought Collins can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen it before.
More than capable.
Yeah, we've definitely seen it before. As for the receiving options, Metcalf 6 for 58. He looked like Smith's favorite target.
Yep.
Lockett, you could probably keep him benched until Wilson's back.
I mean, he got some targets. He got some looks, but he just didn't. The balls were not catchable that were thrown Lockett's way.
Yep.
Which, yeah, it's kind of...
And then for the other side of this ball, Roethlisberger, 29 of 40, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble lost. Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Freiermuth are probably the 3 guys you want.
Claypool's hit or miss.
Freiermuth, they were talking about him last night. He's not the most athletic. He's not the best out there, but he's just dependable.
Yeah, he's a guy that you can trust, a guy you can count on.
All right, and so that's it for our week 6 recap. We do want to preview the Thursday night game real quick. Broncos at Browns. We've already talked about it quite a bit, so we're not really going to go into it more. But Ryan, who's your pick for this game?
Broncos at Browns. Man,
Browns
I think...
are 3.5-point favorites.
I think if Nick Chubb plays, it's Browns easily. I think this defense is too good for the Broncos to penetrate. But, man, there's so many injuries on the Browns offense. I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos pull it off.
I am going to make the same call. If Nick Chubb plays or if Baker plays. If both are out,
I'll go
with the Broncos.
Yeah.
If one or the other plays, I will go with the Browns.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's going to be hard to trust Case Keenum or anybody else, but that's a hard one to pick right now because and you know me, I wasn't high on the Broncos even when they started 3-0.
You weren't. So that's all we've got for our Week 7 preview. We'll get the rest on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Remember, like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah.
Subscribe and like on YouTube.
Spotify.
Anything you do on there helps. Like our videos, comment. It helps with the algorithm.
Yep.
Even if you just go on there real quick, like it, comment.
Or you can look us up on the Anchor app or Spotify app and just let our podcast just play. Don't even have the volume turned on. Yep. Just play it. Have your phone plugged into a charger and just let it run. So, we'd appreciate it.
Yep. Anything to keep this thing growing. We're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
But we gotta keep it growing if we want to keep growing or keep doing more of it.
Yeah, if we want to keep this thing going, we got to keep it growing. Because if we're just getting our normal 30 views on YouTube a week or at each episode, that doesn't really mean anything to us.
Now, when I say growing, I mean adding more days to the podcast.
Right, yeah, we want to do this more often, but it's just schedules and figuring stuff out and life. So it's hard to do it, but if we get the followers and the support that we think we need to keep it going and do this more often, yeah, we'll definitely push some time aside and get more content up for all of you guys.
Yep, and that's all we've got for today. You guys have a good night, day, weekend, whenever you're watching or listening to this, and we'll see you again on Thursday.
I'm putting the Bills on upset alert right now, even though I picked them.
I'm the best in the nation.
Best in the nation. That's what Derrick Henry's going to say.